My name is Ethan Miller. I'm 29 years old. And the night my family turned me into a joke, I finally stopped paying for the punchline. The dining room smelled like lemon cleaner and roasted chicken. My father leaned back, smirked, and said, "Ethan, not everyone can shine like your brother." Laughter hit like glass breaking. My mother's eyes glittered. Luke laughed the loudest. I put my fork down and felt years of quiet add up inside my chest like interest on a debt I never agreed to. I didn't know it then, but they had already signed my name to something much darker. Before I continue, tell me where you're watching from, and hit like and subscribe if you've ever been betrayed by family. Because sometimes betrayal doesn't come with knives or shouting, it comes with laughter around a dinner table, and the kind of silence that follows you home long after the dishes are clean. I grew up in a house that looked stable from the outside: white siding, trimmed lawn, a flag that never faded. Inside, everything cracked in quiet ways. My father, Robert, was the man who believed work was identity. My mother, Diane, believed image was survival. My brother, Luke, was the chosen one who fit perfectly into both stories. And me? I was the backup plan, the one who made sure the lights stayed on when the family forgot to pay the bill. When I was 16, I got a full academic scholarship to Ohio State. Dad didn't come to the award ceremony. He was too busy taking Luke to a soccer tryout that never led anywhere. Mom said, "You understand, right? Your brother needs the encouragement." I did understand too well. That night, I ate dinner alone at the kitchen table, cold pasta on a chipped plate, listening to them laugh in the living room. I told myself love was just uneven sometimes. Back then, Luke was the kind of kid everyone liked instantly. He had that easy grin, the one that made teachers forgive late homework and waitresses slip extra fries into the bag. I was the quiet shadow who fixed the Wi-Fi, replaced light bulbs, remembered birthdays. My mother used to pat my arm and say, "You're our reliable one," as if reliability were a consolation prize for being invisible. When the recession hit and my father lost his job, I was 21 and working part-time at a call center. He called me one night, voice soft. "Power bill's a little high this month. Can you spot us 120? I'll pay you back Friday." Friday never came. February came, then March. Each time, it was just until we catch up. I didn't question it. I told myself this is what good sons do: bridge the gaps. My mother framed it as teamwork. "We're all contributing," she said. Though Luke's version of contributing was crashing on their couch rent-free and eating my grocery deliveries. When he landed a short-term gig selling software, the whole family celebrated like he'd won a Nobel Prize. Dad grilled steaks. Mom posted on Facebook, "So proud of our entrepreneur." No mention of the electric bill with my name on it, or the groceries that arrived every Tuesday from my card. Sometimes I'd drive down from my studio apartment, 3 hours each way, just to fix things: faucets, thermostats, leaky windows. Mom would make me a sandwich, hand me a list of new chores, and say, "You're so good at this stuff. Your brother's hopeless with tools." She said it like praise, but it always landed like a chain. The imbalance was so ordinary it almost felt normal. Holidays were the hardest. One Thanksgiving, I brought a pie from the bakery near my office, pecan, her favorite. Luke brought himself, late, with a six-pack of beer and a story about a business deal. Mom kissed his cheek and said, "At least you made it." She never mentioned the pie. That night she posted a photo of Luke carving the turkey. "So grateful for my boys." I used to scroll through her posts and count the mentions: Luke's name 5 times, mine 0. It didn't even sting after a while. It just confirmed what I already knew. I was the infrastructure, not the headline. Then, one December, she called crying. "The car needs tires, and we're short this month." I wired $480 and skipped Christmas gifts for my coworkers. 2 weeks later, she texted me a photo of her and Dad at a restaurant, wine glasses raised. Caption, "Date night we deserved." I stared at it until the phone dimmed, wondering if generosity was just another word for stupidity. By 25, I had a system. Every first of the month, $300 utilities. Third Sunday, $80 gas. Random Wednesdays, $50 or $100 groceries. My spreadsheet looked like devotion dressed as math. Each green checkmark meant I still belonged, still mattered. I didn't realize then that I was paying rent for acceptance. But the moment that stuck hardest came one Christmas morning. I'd saved up for months to buy Mom a weighted blanket. She'd been complaining about insomnia. Luke showed up with a spa voucher, He got free from a friend. She cried in his arms. My gift sat unopened until evening. Later that night, she left me a note on the counter. Ethan, could you Venmo $150? We're short on rent. I sent it. I always sent it. Because silence felt safer than confrontation. Because I told myself if I stopped helping, they'd stop loving. I didn't know it then, but every quiet payment was building toward a storm none of us would survive the same way. By 26, I'd settled into a rhythm that felt like slow suffocation. I'd wake up, check my work emails, sip black coffee, and transfer whatever amount my parents needed before 9 a.m. My life revolved around two calendars, the one for my job deadlines and the one for their bills. Sometimes I'd even joke to myself that I had two full-time jobs, one paid in money, the other in guilt. I lived alone in a one-bedroom apartment overlooking a parking lot. The hum of the fridge was my only constant sound. I'd fill my shelves with cheap pasta and store-brand soup, the kind that lasts months. There were nights I'd skip dinner, telling myself I wasn't hungry, when really, I was just broke from helping. Mom's messages always started soft. Sweetheart, hate to ask, but, or just this once, I promise. The first few times she said that, I believed her. Later, I realized just this once was her favorite lie. I remember one evening when I finally said, Mom, I need to save a little for myself. Her sigh crackled through the phone. We'll die before asking again. 2 weeks later, a new text, groceries low. Anything helps? I sent $100. The relief in her thank you text felt like oxygen, and I hated how much I craved it. Luke, meanwhile, was thriving, or at least pretending to. He'd post photos with captions like numbers startup grind or building my empire, standing beside cars he didn't own. One day he called, saying, Bro, I'm between gigs. Can you cover rent? I'll pay you back when my client clears. That client must have been mythical because repayment never came. But when he showed up at family dinners, Dad would beam. That's my boy, always chasing dreams. I'd sit there, cutting meat into perfect squares, thinking, I'm the one paying for those dreams. There were moments I tried to stop. Once, I ignored a text for 2 days. Mom left a voicemail, her voice trembling. I guess we just can't count on you anymore. That one sentence yanked me back like a leash. I wired the money that night, along with an apology. She replied with a heart emoji. Not a thank you, just that tiny digital shape that said I own your peace of mind. The favoritism wasn't subtle. When Luke showed up with takeout once, Mom told everyone, he's so thoughtful. When I paid 2 months of their electric bill, she said, we're all doing our part. It wasn't just money. It was credit, pride, love always redistributed toward him. One summer afternoon, I stopped by their house unannounced. I'd brought new air filters and a replacement thermostat, because Dad mentioned the AC was acting up. The place smelled like lemon cleaner again, the smell I now associate with covering things up. I walked into the kitchen and froze. Mom and Dad were laughing with Aunt Carla, talking about Luke's new car. I glanced out the window. My car. The same dent on the bumper, the same tag. They'd let him drive it for months, told everyone it was his. My name was still on the insurance. I didn't confront them that day. I fixed the thermostat, wiped the counter, and left. On the drive home, thunder rolled in the distance, but it never rained. That kind of storm, the one that threatens but doesn't break, felt like my life. At 28, things got worse. My bank sent an alert about a credit inquiry I didn't authorize. A small online loan, $312. I thought it was fraud until I saw the address, my parents' house. I called Mom. She hesitated too long before saying, Oh, that must be a mix-up. Don't worry about it. But I did. For days. Weeks. When my coworker Jamie overheard me on the phone with the credit company, she said gently, Ethan, that's identity misuse. You need to protect yourself. The word misuse stuck in my throat. I opened my laptop that night and scrolled through 4 years of transfers, notes, receipts. $28,940. I printed them out and slipped them into a binder, 9 pages, neat and labeled. I told myself it was for clarity, but deep down, it was preparation. Because I finally understood something I'd been too afraid to admit. They didn't see me as family. They saw me as infrastructure, reliable, invisible, replaceable, and I knew the next family dinner wouldn't end like all the others. The first crack came disguised as celebration. Mom's birthday. The table was set with dollar store candles, and plates that had seen better years. I brought her a carrot cake from her favorite bakery, the one that used to make her smile when I was a kid. Luke came late, no gift, no apology, just that swagger that always reset the family's temperature. He dropped a small jewelry box on the table. "Got this for you, Mom. Real silver." He winked. I knew that box. I'd seen it last week in his room when I'd helped him move, price tag still on, marked down from $29.99. She gasped like he'd handed her the moon. "You didn't have to, sweetheart." Dad raised his glass. "You raised two fine men, Diane." Then his gaze cut to me. Though one of them could be more ambitious. Everyone laughed. Even Mom. That sound burned. I swallowed it like I always did. That night, while clearing plates, Mom touched my shoulder and whispered, "Don't be jealous of your brother. He just has a lighter spirit." I didn't say it out loud, but I thought, he also has my car. Weeks later, I got another email from my bank. A new automatic payment had gone through for an account I didn't recognize. When I called, they said it was tied to a loan in my name. The same loan, $312, but now late fees had doubled it. I sat at my desk staring at the screen, the hum of my computer loud in my skull. My parents had used my name, my credit, my trust. When I confronted Mom over the phone, her tone shifted fast. "Ethan, how dare you accuse us? We would never do that. Maybe you forgot you applied for something." I could hear Dad in the background. "Tell him to drop it." I dropped the call instead. The next morning, my phone exploded with texts. From Dad, "Family meeting Sunday. We need to talk about the bills." From Luke, "Hey bro, can you spot me 400? Rent's killing me." From Mom, "You've been distant. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." At work, Jamie noticed my shaking hands. "You okay?" she asked. I told her everything. She leaned back, eyes wide. "You've been financially abused, Ethan." I laughed at that too sharp. "They're my parents." She didn't flinch. "That doesn't make it any less real." That night, I sat at my kitchen table, surrounded by receipts, statements, the binder. I tried to total the number again, but the math didn't feel like numbers anymore. It felt like years. I printed the $312 notice, slid it into a plastic sleeve, and added it to the binder. 10 pages now. 10 pages of proof that love can have interest rates. Friday night, Luke posted a photo on Instagram, him leaning against my old car. Captioned, "New ride, self-made." I stared at it, bile rising in my throat. Mom commented a heart emoji. Dad wrote, "Proud of you, son." I didn't comment. I just saved the post. Evidence. By Sunday, I knew I couldn't keep swallowing this. The drive to their house felt endless. The air was thick, the sky bruised gray. The kind of heat that comes before a thunderstorm. I pulled into their driveway 2 houses down, gripping the binder like a shield. When I stepped inside, the same smell hit me, lemon cleaner and denial. Aunt Carla was there too, holding her phone suspiciously low, pretending to scroll. Luke leaned against the counter, scrolling his own, smiling like this was another performance he'd already won. Mom looked up. "We were just talking about our plan." Dad nodded, tapping a calculator. "With prices going up, we need everyone to contribute monthly until we stabilize." Luke added, "Yeah, everyone." He still didn't look up. I set the grocery bag down, paper towels on top. My voice didn't shake when I said, "Before we talk about the future, let's talk about the past." Mom blinked. "What's that supposed to mean?" I opened the binder. Pages of transfers, dates, amounts. "It means this. Every dollar I've sent since 2019. Utilities, groceries, gas, repairs, all of it." The room froze. Even the air conditioner clicked off mid-cycle. Dad's smile stiffened. "Ethan, this isn't the time to play accountant." "It's exactly the time," I said. Mom reached for the binder, her fingers trembling just enough to show it wasn't nerves, it was anger. She flipped through the first few pages, scanning the numbers, the Zelle notes, the little messages I used to add like groceries or car repair. Her expression hardened. "We never received any of this," she said. "You must be mistaken." Mistaken. The word hit harder than any slap. I slid my phone across the table. "Check my bank app. Dates, transfers, every single one to your accounts." Dad pushed the phone back with 2 fingers. "This is disrespectful. We don't need proof of family love." "Apparently, we do," I said, "because you've rewritten every piece of history in this house." Aunt Carla shifted on her chair. "Let's not make this ugly," she muttered, her phone still recording at her side. "Oh, it's already ugly," I said, my voice calm. "You just didn't expect me to hold up a mirror." Luke finally looked up, snorting. "Bro, why are you making this weird? It's family. You've always been so dramatic." I turned to him. "Dramatic? You've been driving my car for 6 months. You posted it online as yours." His smirk faltered. "Mom said you didn't need it." Mom's voice rose, sharp and quick. "Enough. You think money makes you better than us? You've always acted holier than thou." I stood slowly. "No. I think accountability makes me different. Not better, just done." Dad's chair creaked as he leaned forward. "What do you want? A medal? You think keeping score makes you a hero?" "No," I said. "It makes me sane." The silence that followed felt electric, the kind before lightning strikes. I could almost hear the hum of the fluorescent light flickering overhead. Then, like a final insult, Dad chuckled. "You'll never be half the man your brother is." That was the sentence that broke something permanent. I felt the heat drain out of my body, replaced by clarity so cold it hurt. I met his eyes. "Then let him pay the bills. I'm not sending another dollar." The table erupted. Mom slammed her hand down. "How dare you pit brothers against each other?" "I'm not," I said evenly. "You did that when you turned love into a competition I was never allowed to win." For a long moment, no one spoke. I could hear Aunt Carla's phone still recording, the faint buzz of the refrigerator, the tap of Luke's sneaker against the floor. Then Mom whispered, "After all we've done for you." I almost laughed. "You mean after all I've done for you?" Dad stood now, face red. "You ungrateful little—" "Stop." My voice cut through him like ice. "This isn't about revenge. It's about closure." He froze mid-step. That word closure landed like a verdict. Mom's eyes shimmered, not with guilt but fury. "You're breaking this family." "It was already broken," I said softly. "I'm just refusing to live inside the cracks." I gathered the binder, slipped my phone into my pocket, and turned toward the door. Mom called after me, voice cracking. "You can't just walk away." "I can," I said, hand on the doorknob. "And I am." The door closed behind me with a sound that didn't echo, it ended. Outside, the air was heavy, thick with that strange stillness before rain. I stood under the porch light, the same one that always flickered. Through the window, I could still see their silhouettes. Dad's pacing, Mom's hands in her hair, Luke scrolling his phone like nothing happened. When I reached my car, my phone buzzed. 10 missed calls, then 15. I let it ring until it stopped. That night, I made pasta and ate standing at my counter. No music, no TV, just the soft click of the clock on the wall. I thought I'd feel empty. Instead, I felt still. The next morning, the storm finally broke. Rain hammered against my windows as if the sky itself needed to scream for me. I let it. I sat at my desk, binder beside me, and for the first time in years, opened my bank app not to sin but to stop. I canceled every recurring transfer. Utilities, gas, groceries. The app asked, "Are you sure?" Yes. The sound of that final click was the quietest, loudest thing I'd ever heard. By Monday morning, the fallout had already begun. My phone lit up with messages that read less like concern and more like orders. "Mom, you're confused. Come back and talk this out." "Dad, you owe us the respect of a conversation." "Luke, you really think this makes you the hero?" Even Aunt Carla chimed in. "Money isn't everything, sweetheart." For the first time, I didn't respond. Silence became my rebellion. By Wednesday, the group chat had a new name family reset meeting scheduled for Sunday. The same house, the same table, the same ghosts. I didn't want to go back, but something inside me, maybe the last thread of decency, or maybe the need for closure, pushed me to face them again. I didn't want them rewriting this story like they always did. Sunday came wrapped in humidity so thick it felt alive. The sky glowed a dull yellow, like it couldn't decide between sunlight and storm. I parked 2 houses down again, binder on the passenger seat. I told myself I'd listen, say my piece, and leave. Nothing more. When I walked in, they were already there. Mom sat stiff-backed, eyes red but dry. Dad had that business mode. Look, the one he used to wear when talking about mortgages. Luke scrolled his phone, pretending disinterest. Aunt Carla sat near the corner, trying to look neutral but holding her phone just a little too perfectly upright. Recording again? Probably. Dad started first. We've been thinking. Maybe we all said things we didn't mean. Mom nodded, her voice soft but rehearsed. Let's just agree on a plan moving forward. We're a family. We help each other. Luke added, without looking up. Yeah, just less drama this time. I let them talk. Their words floated around like scripted dialogue from a bad sitcom. When they finally ran out of platitudes, I placed the binder on the table. This, I said quietly, is the plan moving forward. Mom frowned. Ethan, we're not doing this again. It's not a repeat, I said. It's a record. I opened to the last page, the one with the printed notice. I slid it toward them. You used my name to take a loan. This isn't about hurt feelings anymore. This is identity theft. Dad's hand twitched. Watch your tone. Mom's voice cracked. We just needed time. You were always good with finances. We knew you'd understand. That's not understanding, I said, calm but sharp. That's exploitation. Luke finally looked up, smirking. So what? You're gonna sue your own family? No, I said. I'm going to protect myself from them. The words hung in the air like smoke. Dad slammed his palm on the table. You're overreacting. Families share everything. Not names, I said. Not credit scores. Mom stood suddenly, her chair scraping. We did what we had to do. You think you're the victim, but you've always made us feel small. I stared at her. If taking care of you made you feel small, maybe it wasn't care, it was control. A flash of lightning lit the room, followed by the low growl of thunder. Aunt Carla's phone buzzed. Her recording light blinked red. She didn't even realize she'd just caught Mom's confession on video. The storm outside finally broke, rain pelting the windows, wind howling through the cracks. No one spoke. It felt like nature was doing the yelling for all of us. I closed the binder slowly. I'm done being your safety net, I said. If this family's foundation depends on me breaking, then let it collapse. Mom whispered. You'll regret this. Maybe, I said, stepping toward the door. But at least the regret will be mine. The thunder roared as I left. The porch light flickered again, fighting to stay on. For the first time, I didn't wait for it to stabilize. I walked into the storm and let the rain take everything I'd been holding. The next morning, the air smelled like metal and wet leaves. The storm had passed, but everything felt rearranged, like the world had quietly rewritten itself overnight. My phone sat face down on the counter, buzzing every few minutes with messages I didn't need to read to understand. Mom, we can fix this. Come home and talk. Dad, we raised you better than this. Luke, you always wanted to be the hero. Congrats. None of them mentioned the loan. None said sorry. Just control wrapped in familiar words. I made coffee, black and bitter. For the first time, I didn't send anything, not money, not apologies, not explanations. I opened my laptop, canceled 3 more auto payments, and transferred the same amounts into a new savings account. I named it Boundary Fund. That afternoon, Jamie stopped by my desk at work. You okay? She asked. Getting there, I said. She smiled faintly. You know that recording? The one your aunt posted before she deleted it? Someone uploaded it to the family Facebook group. Everyone saw it. I blinked. The one where Mom. Yep, she said. You're not crazy, Ethan. They finally said it out loud. I didn't watch the video. I didn't need to. That night, I ran 3 miles through the damp streets until the air burned in my lungs. I wasn't running from them anymore, I was running for me. When I got home, I poured tea, opened the binder, and added one final page. The moment I stopped paying wasn't the end. It was the receipt for my freedom. Then I closed it for good. They thought they'd destroyed me, but all they'd really done was hand me the one weapon I never had before: clarity. And clarity, I've learned, is the quietest kind of revenge. If you've ever felt like the outsider in your own family, hit like and subscribe, because sometimes, walking away isn't weakness, it's survival. I used to think love meant sacrifice, but now I know love without respect is just debt with prettier words. Tell me in the comments if you've ever had to draw your own line. This story isn't over. I'm still learning that peace doesn't always come from forgiveness. Sometimes it comes from finally saying no.